Hey everyone, this is Scott from Forgot to Grow Up. Welcome to our Chilling Adventures of Sabrina Part 3, Episode 1 Thoughts video. I just finished watching the first episode of the new season of Sabrina, and I'm just going to be sharing my general thoughts on this first episode. I will be getting into spoilers, but just for this first episode, because I haven't watched any further into the season yet. But yeah, so I just finished watching the first episode. We start off this first episode where we left off last season, where Lilith's ruling hell now. Satan's trapped in Nick's body, who's also in hell, and Sabrina is, vowed to go rescue them from hell, even though she sent them there. Anyways, though, so yeah, we start off this season. The Spellmans are hosting all of the students from the academy because they, kind of shut down the academy at the end of last season a little bit, and so they're dealing with the this kind of crisis of faith on the Hilda and Zelda side because they spent their whole lives praying to Satan, and now they're like, well, we just trapped Satan in a body, so it feels weird that we're gonna pray to him. So that was a really interesting part that they added to this season that I didn't really think about. It does make sense that it's like, well, yeah, if you had met your religious, your religion's, God figure or that, or the one you worship, and then it turned out not to be quite as what you thought, it would make you have to reconsider things. So I like that was this heavily featured element, but not too heavily featured in this one. Just kind of seeing it's pretty much what Zelda and Hilda are up to for this season. I'm guessing is them figuring that stuff out. But I do like where they kind of settle in this throughout this episode. But yeah, so we see them starting off that they're hosting all the students from the academy, and they're gonna put stuff back together. Sabrina has been going to the gates of hell every day since Nick's went with Lilith to hell and has had Satan in him, and so she's been trying to unlock the gates of hell to figure out a way in, and hasn't been able to figure it out, which I'm guessing it's not one of those things that's just you find the code written down somewhere. But she ends up figuring out another way with the kind of inspiration of Miss Wardwell, who we get the actual Miss Wardwell back in this one, so that's kind of fun little bit too in this season that we're getting both Lilith and Miss Wardwell played by the same actress, who's Miranda. I totally blanking on her name, but yeah, so we get Miss Wardwell back in this episode, and then she kind of inspires Sabrina to start thinking about different ways in order to get to hell, and they end up thinking about a portal, which Damian Gray, Mr. Gray, I forget, I'm just blanking on his first name for some reason, but that guy helps them get to hell via a portal because he needs to fix a little pimple, which I thought was just a kind of funny, vain way to give inspiration or give motivation for this character to actually help Sabrina and stuff. So that was fun. The team portal, we see the team portal to hell and traveled through all the different hellscapes, which I thought was fun. They encounter people like Theo / Susie's uncle in hell, and so that was a interesting bit that makes sense if you're on hell. Why not throw in some characters that we've already seen die in this season? We also see a woodsman, aka the Tin Man from hell, who actually has a heart, and apparently that makes you want to chop people up. But that was kind of a cool thing, and I didn't even notice at first that it was played by the same actor who plays Tommy, and Tommy is Harvey's brother from the previous seasons who had died, and I was like, oh, that's a cool little connection. I didn't even notice it to start doing the flashes things, but in my defense, he had a bunch of Tin Man stuff on, but they did, Sabrina does say, Sabrina and Roz at least didn't think that was actually Tommy at least, so but that was still like a fun little thing that they threw in there. And again, one of these little things that I wasn't expecting, even though it makes sense if you're on hell, why not throw these things in? But so that was fun. We also when they're in hell, we also see them visit Hell's version of Baxter High, and they run into their old principal, Principal Hawthorne. So that was a fun little thing to see that, and it's fun to think about is like, are these actually these, souls they knew, or these people that they knew in previous seasons who had died, or is it just hell messing around with them? Is it just hell just trying to play tricks on them and torture them? So that was a fun little kind of thing to think about in this episode. What we also see Roz's grandma kind of helping the principal torture them. They don't quite get to the torture part before Lilith stops her plan to try and stop Sabrina from coming to get Nick, and then decides to be like, oh well, I kind of need you to crown me again so that the kings of hell stop question my authority. And so that was a fun little thing to see them have to team up. And Sabrina this whole time just like, I just want my boyfriend back, and I don't care about all your hell politics. And everyone's just like, yeah, no, we get that, daughter of Satan, but sorry, we gotta deal with our hell stuff. So I kind of just like that Sabrina's just kind of very single-minded in all this and just wants to get Nick back, and everyone around her, and like all these, different players in hell with Lilith and the kings of hell that we meet in this one, and then this prince of hell that's made out of clay called Caliban that we also meet in this episode, who I thought was going to be like a, some kind of Lucifer-esque thing, and it makes sense. He's supposed to be, Prince of Hell, because he was forged from clay in the pit, and yada yada. So that was an interesting thing for them to add in there. But overall, I just kind of like the way this first episode went. It was a little bit like sooner than I thought we were going to go to hell, but I'm glad we went straight to hell. And I like that it seems like we're going to be spending a lot more time in hell this season. So I like that it was kind of like, yeah, we're just going to be going back and forth a lot, and that's just, you better be cool with that. We're going to see some hell stuff, and it's going to be fun. We're going to have all these different demons doing different crazy things, being dressed up as, like bellhops and different things like that. So I'm excited to see where we go from here. But yeah, so the smaller stuff that happens in this episode, we saw that Prudence and Ambrose are chasing down Father Blackwood, around the world, and they're having no luck. They end up killing one of his disciples, one of his Judases, I believe they refer to him as. And so they're trying to track him down, and they come to the realization that they're, everything they know was taught to them by Father Blackwood, so they can't really, get ahead of him on anything, because he taught them everything they know. So they're in New Orleans at that time, and so they have some inspiration to go try some other magic, which, again, this is one of those elements that I didn't even think about considering them exploring, but it is fun that they have introduced this idea that there are other types of magic, voodoo being the one introduced in this one, and that they can explore that, and and witches don't necessarily know every type of magic, and that all magic necessarily isn't the same. So I like that we're getting this idea of kind of expanding the magic world a little bit outside of our covenant that we've gotten to know just a little bit, not too much, just a little bit, just Ambrose and Prudence off, just learn a little bit of voodoo to go do a little thing, just a little bit to, like I said, expand the world a little bit more just outside of, Greendale. So I really enjoyed that little bit. Like we said, we only get a little bit with them, but that was a fun little thing. What else do I have written down? Oh, we see Hilda and Zelda have to trick the council at one point, and they come to realize that all the council members are a bunch of BSers talking about communing with Satan and their Dark Lord and all this stuff, and Zelda's like, those liars! We've got Satan in our closet. Well, not technically, but we know where Satan's hanging out. They're not communing with him. They're all lying. So that's when they kind of decide to make the switch from praying to Satan to praying to Lilith, which I thought was really fun. And I like that they even feature us showing that Lilith can actually hear these prayers, hear the witches actually praying to them, the covenant the members at the academy, at least with under Hilda and Zelda's kind of leadership, are now praying to Lilith. So that's fun, a little bit. I'm curious to see how that leads. I thought that was going to play a little bit more into this role of, Lilith wanting to be the queen of hell, and, having to get Sabrina to technically crown her, and then Sabrina's just like, okay, I gotta take the crown, you'll be my regent. It's the same thing, kind of. You just don't get to wear the crown. You get to act like you're in charge while I'm not here. You just can't wear my crown. That's pretty much all it comes down to. But I just kind of like that was introduced, this idea that she can actually hear the prayers. I'm curious to see if that leads to anything. Also, the fact that they mentioned that some of the members of the council had been experiencing some problems with their powers, a little less powerful, they say, and that obviously would be connected to the fact that they've got Lucifer locked up, and he is the source of their power. So I'm interested to see if, with them switching their prayers to Lilith, with at least the covenant we're following, if that somehow plays a role into will Lilith somehow have more power? Will Lilith then be giving them power in some way? Is there going to be some exchange in that sense? So I'm really curious to see where that ends up going. But yes, a lot of cool things kind of set up in this first episode for me to explore through the next 8 episodes in total this season. So yeah, I'm really excited. They end the episode off with Sabrina having to take the crown of hell. Like I said, she gets Nick back and they leave hell, even though I feel like, Sabrina, you should have figured out what you're going to do with Satan before taking him out of hell, I feel. But that's just my thoughts, I guess. But we'll see where we go from here, because she's got Nick with Satan in his body back on Earth now in Greendale, and she's thinking everything's all hunky-dory, even though she was warned by Satan that the old ones are coming. And I was like, who are the old ones? I'm curious. So yeah, a lot of cool things introduced in this first episode for us to explore through the rest of the season. So I'm really excited to binge watch the rest of this season. But yeah, what did you guys think though of the first episode? Be sure to let me know in the comments below. Thanks again for joining me today. Sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and have a good one.